Any other questions? Go on.
Just on the question of standing up for Christians abroad, you're right, there's not enough people talking about the terrible persecution of Christians in many, many, many countries. However, in the same way that you said to the brother here that maybe he didn't care when it came to Jews because he's anti-Semitic, could it be argued by some that you don't care so much about non-Christian suffering, that you don't raise your voice up quite as loud when it's non-Christian suffering, and that therefore, I wouldn't say this, that therefore you are anti-Islam, anti any other religion to whom you don't raise your voice up?
Right, ladies and gentlemen. So the argument is, I pointed out quite rightly, that unless there are Jews involved, he does not care. Unless he's inconvenienced, he does not care. That's the kind of man that liberal Britain has raised. Pathetic, cowardly, unvirtuous, unjust, limp-wristed, uncharitable. That's what we've got. That's what we've got from these pathetic, I don't know what, but hardly men at all. Now, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen. I'll debate you if you want, bro. Give me a chance to answer your question. Now, ladies and gentlemen. Have I spoke up about suffering Muslims? Yes, I have. I spoke up about suffering Muslim women in Afghanistan. I spoke up about suffering Muslim migrant workers in Qatar and the Emirates and Saudi Arabia. Have you? Have you? This brother says so. This brother wants to pretend that he did. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter is, these clowns don't have a stain on me. Because as a Christian, I'm committed to justice for all. And so I speak up against Islam. It's slave trade. Do you speak up against the Islamic slave trade? I speak up against the gender apartheid of Islam. Do you speak up against the gender apartheid of Islam?
Christianity is a slave trade. What do you mean Islam?
Yes, Islam is a slave trade.
Speak up against Christian slave traders.
Where? Where?
Transatlantic slave trade, 400 years of slavery.
Ended by who?
Do you speak
Christians.
up about
it was ended by Christians.
That's a
Do you
lie.
speak up about the Islamic slave trade today in Sudan? Do you?
They came to Africa.
Do you?
Evangelists.
Do you?
Missionaries.
Do you?
They came
What about the Arab slave traders that came to Africa and enslaved your ancestors and colonized you? Yours is a colonized mind by Arabs. You're an Arabized colonized African. You're an Arabized colonized African. Do you speak up against the Islamic slave trade today? Go on, here's your chance. Here's your chance. Exactly nothing. You must not allow Muslim propagandists like that to capture the narrative. You must oppose their narrative. Don't be like these trivial, insignificant triplets who want to obfuscate on Islamic injustice. You must stand up against Islamic injustice. And that means Islamic injustice against Muslims. Okay, any other questions? You want to come back on that?
I just think there's a lot of ad hominem going on.
I find you guys very trite.
Look, you're speaking, I know there's a lot of Christians on the live feed, so I get that you're speaking mainly to Christians there, I get that.
Can I ask you a question? What is wrong with the Christians speaking up against the mass murder and genocide of Christians?
Nothing at all. In fact, they should.
Have you?
Probably at some point.
Probably at some point.
Of course I have.
Where? Can you show us? Anything, any tweet, any video, because we will be able to show you a video passively giving succor to this man's narrative that we should only care if it inconveniences us. Do you agree with that? That we should only care if it inconveniences you?
No, I don't. But the point that I
So was he wrong for saying that?
I believe he was. But,
Thank you.
But the point that I wanted to come back to you was that I don't follow you so much, but I know I was listening the last 10 minutes, and you were addressing to Christians, speaking up for Christians being persecuted.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you.
But you accuse this fellow of not speaking up for XYZ, ABC, but for speaking up against this. So I just wanted to simply say, do you only...
So let me explain the reason why I wanted to demonstrate what a pathetic individual is standing in front of me.
It's just more ad hoc.
You are pathetic. You are utterly pathetic. You are a pathetic man. You only care about the sufferings of others if it affects you directly. That is a snivelling masculinity. So, let me, that is why I have no respect for this guy. Because any man whose measure of justice only is activated when it affects him directly, when it inconveniences him, is a pathetic character. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
I disagree with that.
I'll come back to you. I'm asking him. Right, so what would you say about a man who thinks that he should only care about injustice when it inconveniences his life directly?
I mean, I'm not sure why you want me so strongly to disagree with this fellow over there. I don't know what that gains.
Because here's what. I think you sympathise with his perspective and giving you the opportunity to distance yourself from this kind of snivelling masculinity.
I sympathise not with that point, but with the point that was initially raised.
But answer my actual...
Let me come back to you.
No, answer my question then. Go on.
I said I didn't sympathise with that point, so I did.
But what do you think we should say of such men?
What I did sympathise, because you said I sympathise with him, I'll tell you what I do sympathise with him on, which is he initially entered the discussion when you said there was a two-tier justice system and that people that were supporting Palestine action got off lightly. And I think he was sort of saying, actually, some stuff that Palestine action are doing, they got a bit of a point with that. So on that particular point, I sympathise with him.
I think you're sidestepping a deeper issue here, and let me try and explain what it is, and then I'll let you into to make your comment. I think that if we are a kind of society that produces the kind of man that says, I only care if it inconveniences me. I'm all right, Jack. Let me land my point, and then you can reply. I think if the kind of society we live in produces the kind of man that says, I'm all right, Jack, I don't care. In other words, he did. Now, if we live in... Right, so shall I start interrupting you? Okay, I'll interrupt you if that's how you want to do it. I'm going to let you in. Right, so I'm trying to say to you that the kind of society that develops a kind of manhood that we've seen demonstrated on camera is broken if the kind of manhood that it produces is the kind of snivelling man that says, I only care if it inconveniences me, which is exactly what he said. Yeah, go on.
It's your interpretation of what he's saying.
How would you interpret it?
I would interpret it is, the way that I would look at it is, if something inconveniences me, I would react to that. It is exactly what is inconveniencing you. You are saying that you are being inconvenienced by the fact that Armenians are being persecuted. Christians are. That inconveniences your thinking. Therefore, you are being you're reacting to that. That is exactly. So what I don't.
Can I reply?
No, just
okay.
1 second. What I don't understand is, why do you have to go on this ad hominem attack?
Right, okay.
Based on
Great.
something which is your bad interpretation of what.
Right.
What
Firstly, I don't think I've given an uncharitable interpretation to what he said. He said it very clearly. He was very prima facie about it. He said he did not care unless it inconveniences me. We've caught it on camera. It's there for everyone to see. I suggest that you go back and you watch the video where he says it, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So I haven't, this is the second time you've been interrupting me continuously. This is the second time you've interrupted me continuously. If you do it for a 3rd time, I will interrupt you at will, and then you will complain about me interrupting you at will. Now, I was not uncharitable. He said it very clearly, and he was challenged about it, and his rationale for only caring about what's happening in Palestine is because it affected him and inconvenienced him. Now, to your point that I'm doing the same, completely fallacious. The plight of Nigerian Christians does not impact me directly in any way. I am not earning more or earning less, or happier or less happier, let me finish, or less happier by them being persecuted. I care about the deaths of Nigerian Christians and about the deaths of Armenian Christians because they are my family as Christians. They are part of my family. It doesn't impact me directly in any way. So your accusation is totally false. But you have both missed the bigger point. You've both missed the deeper point, is what kind of society are we if it produces men like this? Now, you put your hand up, so go on. You can come back in.
We all have personal preferences. We all have personal ideas about morality. So, I was just saying about your personal preferences for Christians or non-Christians or whatever. It's the same. It's how we live our lives. We have personal preferences. You're going on about Christianity because you're a Christian and you care about Christians. That's your personal preference. I don't want to be inconvenienced by the Israeli-Palestine conflict because it does impact on my life. Obviously, I care about other things as well. But my technical point as well, which I think we've glossed over, is with Israel and Palestine. All right, Palestine is not technically a country, but it's a territory, and it's recognised in the UN, and it should be a country. That's very different from Nigeria killing its own people. Very different. That's the fundamental importance, I think, of the conflict, and why it matters to people so much, and why people think Israel is so wrong. If a country can just take over another bit of territory like Russia with Ukraine, where does it end?
Right, so in reply, I agree that I have a morality that is very different to yours. I totally agree. We have got completely different moralities, and I am saying that your morality is utterly despicable, truly despicable. I actually find it offensive, it's repugnant to me, because anyone who can be so selfish as to only judge issues of importance if they affect them directly is someone who is a very hollow, very shallow, very thin-skinned man indeed. And I think that a truer man, a better man, a more just man, a more noble man is a man who can see beyond his own horizons and can care about concerns that are outside of his own world. And Christianity has instilled that in me, which is why I do care about the plight of Palestinian Christians who are suffering because of Palestinian Muslims. But you don't seem to. I do care about the plight of Christians in Israel, whom you don't seem to care about. And why I do care about the Christians in Lebanon and Syria that you don't care about, and in Nigeria and Armenia that you don't care about, and in northern Cyprus that you don't care about, and the Karen Christians of Burma that you don't care about. The reality is, and I'll offer a correction again because you're only selectively listening, I do care about the plight of Afghan women. I do care about the plight of Muslim slaves, but you don't speak about, because there's no Jews, there's no news, there's no personal inconvenience, there's no care. And I am saying to you that there's a deeper debate that you're still missing because of your shallow worldview. And that your deeper, yes, certainly, the deeper question is what kind of man is it, what kind of society is it that produces the kind of man that only says, I'm all right, Jack, you're on your own.
That's your interpretation.
That's exactly what he said.
Can I tell you? I have actually debated the same thing with Muslims, with a lot of other people.
Show us the videos.
No, I don't. Actually, they did. In fact, we were talking about
Find us the videos and show us.
No,
They didn't upload them.
They didn't upload it. We talked about
To be
it.
fair, when they lose debates, they tend not to upload them.
But
That's true.
I don't know. But it's not a question. Actually, if I have to choose, honestly, completely independent, if I have to choose between these
You're not
two-
independent and you're not unbiased.
let
You're
me
his friend. You came with him.
No, but we used to be colleagues.
So there you go. You're not
Really
unbiased.
doesn't matter.
It really
matter.
does.
Let me just tell you the logic. Is that you only when it suits your logic, you would take sides and you would say, oh, I'm really indignant because the Muslims or the women have been. Whereas he's saying not just Christians, Muslims, Jews. He's saying I actually worry about humanity.
He hasn't said that once.
He has
Not once. He has not said that once.
Exaggerating to make a point.
I mean,
He has not said that once.
Okay.
You're literally lying to me
that is-
about a conversation I
that is my-
participated in.
okay, that is my interpretation of what I'm hearing from him and what I'm hearing
Wait,
from you.
what exactly did he say that made you think that?
I mean,
What exactly did he say that made you think that?
why do you think he's inconvenienced by the fact that Israelis have gone to Palestine? What has that got to do with him?
It's because Palestinian Muslims have forced supporting the Hamas terrorists.
He didn't even say that, so now you're lying.
No, hold on one second. His logic was, I am inconvenienced by it. How is he inconvenienced by it? It's in the news every day. It's a political issue in our politics. Our streets are clogged up with pro-Palestine protests. Businesses are being raided by terrorists. Police officers are being attacked by terrorists in this country, which I hope you condemn. Do you condemn?
Terrorists, yeah. Cool.
Yes, so you believe those? You believe the people that did it in Palestine Action should be in prison?
I think the one who smashed the police officer over the back should, yeah.
Good. And the ones that broke into the business,
I don't know. It's
Criminal
it's a
offence.
grey area.
Criminal offence.
should they be in prison? Should they be in prison?
Isn't it criminal offence?
Yes, it's a criminal offence.
Law, whatever criminal law for breaking
The
it
law should
is.
say criminal damage should be judged and should be.
Not terrorism, no.
But people will see that you wanted to obfuscate on that. I noticed that you wanted to obfuscate on that.
It's
It's
a
your
difficult area.
interpretation. You are actually you are listening to the conversation. You and I are listening to the conversation. You're taking something completely different.
Oh, definitely. We
only
definitely are.
You only tune into when it's only about Christianity suffering someone.
So let me reply to that comment.
Yeah.
This
Right,
is better now. The volume's going down and you're listening. A
My
bit more,
volume
you
is-
know?
Yeah, bro. You wanted to jump into a conversation. That's fine. So in terms of I only work according to my own logic. Well, that's absolutely true. Obviously, everybody does that. But let's understand what my logic is. My logic is that as a Christian, I believe that the dignity of all human beings should be upheld.
Excellent.
And that any religion, institution, or organization or group that takes away human dignity should be opposed. Hamas does all of those things. Let me finish. But the logic of this man is that he only cares if it inconveniences him. That is a very narrow man. I care about women in Afghanistan even though it does not impact me in any way. I care about children in Nigeria even though it does not impact me in any way. I care about the old ladies, Armenian old ladies from Artsakh, even though it does not impact me in any way. All the refugees in Cyprus, from Cyprus, North Cyprus, even though it does not impact me in any way. And I have not seen that logic from you at all. You have defended his logic, and his logic is, I'm all right, Jack, I don't care.
That's not. Okay. I mean, we go round the loop. We're going round and round the loop because.
So maybe we can
you're
move the
being-
conversation on.
Well, yeah, maybe.
So
that's
here's the
best
question.
way.
Let me ask
That's
you
the
this
best way.
question. Let's move the conversation on. Do you want to live in a society that creates noble men?
I mean, the answer to that is
Yes.
yes.
Right, okay. If we are going to live in a society of noble men, does it not follow that we need a paradigm of what nobility is?
Sure.
Right. Christianity offers this paradigm of nobility. It's the Christian knight, the code of chivalry. You know what the code of chivalry is? It is not opening doors for ladies as they walk into rooms.
So you see yourself as
Right.
Knights Templar.
I see myself, I try to embody the principles of knighthood, yes. Okay? Knighthood is things like this, and you tell me if you think that these are noble or whether you think they're not noble. Bravery in the face of your enemies, standing up for the weak and the oppressed, not using your strength against the same weak and oppressed, defending the church.
If you believe in the church, yeah.
Yes, I believe in the church, so that for me is noble. Do you believe that it is noble?
I don't actually, because I don't. It
Fair enough.
depends on your-
Do you believe that it is noble to stand up for your society, your culture, and your civilization?
Absolutely. Not just my culture and civilization, but humanity.
We've already said all weak and oppressed. Yeah? Right. Are you European?
I'm not. No.
Where are you from?
I'm from Iran.
You're from Iran. Okay. Totally different.
Javid Shah.
Yeah.
I don't go with that either. But,
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, right. That's fine. So in terms of, we both believe that it is fair to stand up and noble to stand up. Would you believe that it is noble to stand up for Iranian civilization?
Yeah, for all civilization.
Right, great. Right. So the church, exactly.
Generally.
No. Not humanity in general, the oppressed. Those that are weak, those that are oppressed by others.
Yes.
So like right now, Iran is being oppressed by the Ayatollahs.
And by the Americans.
And by, well, yes, maybe.
And by the Israelis.
Right now,
It depends on your point of view,
really,
right?
well, no, but this is the point. Moral relativism, which is what you're now employing. Right, moral relativism. You've got to triage, not apply moral relativism. The problem with moral relativism is that you stand yourself on quicksand. The advantage to triaging is it means that you don't have to create an equivalence between the Ayatollahs and America. What you do is you judge them as which one is oppressing more. And you deal with the first one first, the second one second, and the third one third.
Yeah, I mean, they are in power. They're oppressing the people. These guys, the Americans and the Israelis, they really don't want. Look at around the region, right?
Yeah.
You've got Libya, you've got Lebanon, you've got Iraq, you've got Syria, you've got Sudan. They're all failed states because of
Islam.
Well,
Because of
you say
Islam.
that, you say that.
No,
but
because
then
of
we're
Islam.
going into, yeah.
Colonialism, you
Getting
mean
into-
Arab colonialism from the 7th century that conquered North Africa and the Middle East?
No.
Are we talking about that colonialism?
talking about-
Do you think the
English-
legacy was of that in terms of failed states in the 20th, 21st century?
Right. All of the Islamic caliphates failed. All of them.
So British.
The Ottoman Empire failed. The Seljuk Empire failed.
took a
The
long time to
Fatimian
fail.
Empire failed.
The Ottoman Empire took hundreds of years to fail.
Right? The Ottoman Empire
Pretty
spent.
good for a while.
Was it good when it was raping Christian women and kidnapping Christian children
Not morally
and
good.
running a slave
Not morally
trade?
good.
So it was a failed state then.
Oh, if you
Your
morally,
judgment
then sure.
of success
But then
is
Christian
not
states
power
are
and
failures as
richness. Yes, I'm not denying it. Any Christian state that partook in slavery was a failed state.
Then that's
You see,
consistent.
but that's consistency, and that's what I'm trying to say is the advantage to moral relativism, is because moral relativism tries to draw equivalents where equivalents don't exist.
Well, it depends where you source.
You need-
Let me just
yes.
The failed state. So in Iran at the moment, what do you want me to do? To say these guys are horrible? Yes, they are. But the other guys are better? No, they're actually creating the environment. Look at 1953.
No one's denying that.
Look at 1953, right? If you're so democratic, and so, there was a democratically elected government. What happened? The Americans come in and they destroyed
Which
it. So I could
which country?
This is Iran. I can tell you that what we're going through now is traced back to that period. Now, who caused it? These guys, they didn't even exist at the time, right? So it is the hypocrisy of the American and the British imperialism that actually created
Firstly,
system
to be
that-
clear, I'm not trying to defend any kind of imperialism. Let's be clear about that. I'm not trying to justify British colonialism. I'm not trying to justify American state intervention in other countries. So don't think that this is me defending America's involvement in Iran and you trying to point it out to me.
Sorry,
One
can
second.
Can I just
What-
on this? Can I just
Well,
make
one
it
second.
clear
But the
for
point
you?
is, it was not America that in the last couple of weeks has killed 60,000 Iranians. It's the Islamic regime that has killed 60,000 Iranians.
Whatever the number is, I agree. But where do we start it? It's just like you going on the October the 7th. That was horrible. It was absolutely horrible what they did, what Hamas did. But why do you go, what do you start where it's convenient for you?
Here's where you start. Here's where you start. You get away from whataboutism, which is the game that we're playing right now. What about this? What about that? What about the other? Let me know. This is whataboutism. Where you start to work your way through this problem is first principles. You establish principles to live by, and then you judge and triage based upon those principles. Now, if you do that by Islam, you get injustice. If you do that by this man's ethic, you're getting justice. If you do it by Christianity, you pursue justice in all cases.
Well, the British and the Americans...
You wanted to come in and say something.
Sorry, let me just quickly just do this. Keep it for a second.
No,
just remember it.
Go on.
Go back to first principles, and that's fine. But then when you say weak or nobility, and then you define what weakness or nobility are, who's weak and who's noble, and then you get different interpretations. At the start of your speech, you're criticising other Christian groups. And how do you know you're the right one, or your view of that's weak, or they're weak, or they need protection? You know,
all right, let me ask you this question. Do you agree, and feel free all of you to answer this, do you agree or disagree that the man who makes a sacrifice of his own efforts, resources, skills and abilities to protect those who cannot protect themselves is more noble than a man who does not do that when he could? Do we all, right, do you agree or disagree? Do you agree or disagree? Go on, what's your answer?
Because you said to bring it back to first principles, and I know your first principles is Christ.
Yeah.
And there are some people who interpret Christ as reversing the Old Testament warrior Messiah expectation. This idea that the Messiah would be like King David, who's a kingly figure who vanquishes his enemies. What Christ did was a suffering servant who, it was through a kind, not a weak submission, but a surrender to the forces of evil. It was that loving sacrifice on the cross which enabled salvation. Not, it could be argued, through the kind of noble, masculine Christian hero that you're advocating. And
right.
So how does what you're saying kind of square with...
Marry with what Jesus... Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Jesus upends the kind of violent messianic king that the Jewish people were expecting. And what he does is he takes the prophecies of the Old Testament and he demonstrates that they need to be reimagined. In that, the Christian faith does not conquer the world through violence. We seek, nonetheless, to conquer the world. But we seek to conquer the world through acts of love and sacrifice and charity and kindness, so that we conquer men's hearts, not conquer men's heads. That we change people by our example, not that we change people by putting a dagger to their throat. So you are absolute. No. It doesn't amount to pacifism. That's not what it does. It does not amount to pacifism. So within the Christian ethic, what we need to do, even when we use violence, because Christianity is not pacifist, let me finish and then you ask a question. We need to operate from love. I'll put that in a concrete example and then you can ask your question. Here's the example. If right now I suddenly started attacking you because, as I've said, I find your ethic repugnant, right? That means that I'm acting in an unchristian way, right? But if, say, somebody pulled out a knife and tried to stab you, a Christian, because he thought your behavior was repugnant, and to save your life, I as a Christian punched him and knocked him out, that is not me acting from hatred, because I don't know the guy. I'm acting immediately in response. I'm seeking to defend your life. That's an act of love. So love doesn't equal pacifism. Christians always need to act from love, not from dominance, not from supremacy, not from hatred. Do you get my? Yeah, go on.
I know you give a case of Jesus' righteous anger in the temple.
Yeah.
And it's a fair point, but he didn't hurt anybody. I don't think he hit anybody. He turned some tables over, chased people around a bit. But there's no reports of actually hurting anybody. In fact, in the Garden of Gethsemane, when one of his followers cut off the ear of the soldier, he stuck it back on. And then he sacrificed himself. He had complete pacifism on the cross.
Right.
So I can't see Christianity. And one of the things I love about Christianity, I'm not Christian, but I was raised as a Christian, is its pacifist nature. I see Jesus as the ultimate pacifist. And I think its interpretation of war and just war is wrong. I think the interpretation of Jesus is clearly wrong.
So two things. I'll correct your point, but while I'm correcting your point, I want to ask you a question. Is Palestinian violent resistance against Israel justified or unjustified? Answer that when you come back in. So to deal with the point, Jesus Christ himself was not a pacifist. No one can look at the account in Acts John 2, in the second pericope, and go, Jesus was a pacifist. He made a weapon. He used the weapon, and it says he drove out man and beast. Now, the thing that you're not taking into account is the Jewish law says eye for eye, blow for blow, cheek for cheek, hand for hand, leg for leg, foot for foot. So if you're a Jew and Jesus is trying to push you out of the temple and you're a practicing Jew and you think you've got a legitimate right to be there, is the Jewish thing to do, oh no, I'm not going to fight back? No, the Jewish thing to do is to fight back. What is being described in the Gospels is a fight. Now, answer my question first. Do you believe that the Palestinians have the right to use violence against Israel? So the thing that you're lauding Christians for is something that you're saying Palestinians shouldn't do.
I can laud it, but I still think the Palestinians and anybody's got the right of self-defense. I have the right of self-defense. I wish I could be a pacifist. I admire people who are pacifists, but it's not for me.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you it's not for Christians. The Christian tradition has not been pacifist.
Your interpretation of Jesus' act in the temple is your interpretation.
As is yours.
Yes, and you have to work through that. Jesus said, turn the other cheek.
Yes.
Forgive 7 times 7.
Yes.
They're specific words, turn the other cheek.
I love this conversation because it's about the teachings of Jesus. So when Jesus says turn the other cheek, he also says if someone asks you your coat, give him your jumper as well. If someone asks you to walk with him a mile, walk with him too. Now, if someone asks you to bear his load, carry it for him. What Jesus is describing there is not pacifism. What Jesus is describing there is a generosity of heart. The kind of generosity of heart that I would show to you and any of the Islamists here in this park or any of the Muslims in this park. In that, even though I disagree with you ideologically and ethically, I would still take you out for a coffee. I would still buy you a drink. I would still treat you like a human being. I'd still protect you if someone was attacking you. Same as the fact that even though many Muslim women would seek the oppression of Christians, I seek their liberation from Islam. And so Jesus is describing a generosity of heart in the passage you're talking about. He's not describing pacifism. Go and read it for yourself.
But he quotes the one you said before about an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. He quotes that, and then he says, I say not an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, I say turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
It seems quite straightforward.
So but you're misexegeting the passage, because Jesus is quoting Old Testament law, right? Law is not violence. Law is justice. So when Jesus is talking about justice, he's saying interpret justice through a prism of generosity, of love and self-sacrifice. That's what he's doing in that passage, because he's not talking about random acts of violence. He's talking about state punishment of crime. He's talking about this ethic of eye for an eye, because if you think about it, right, if I punched you unfairly, you'd probably punch me 2 times back, because the instinct in our nature is if you do me wrong, I give it you back and then just a tiny bit more to teach you a lesson. You know that if you search your own heart. And in the Mosaic law, what God does is he takes that human instinct and he restricts it. So he moves it inward. And he says, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand. But then Jesus takes it in further. And he says, before you pursue punitive justice, pursue restoration. Pursue redemption.
So what if I ask Bob?
Yeah, go on.
Those points about restricting acceleration of conflict.
Yeah, in Mosaic law.
I believe that's also in the Quran.
No.
Is it not?
No.
And the last thing you said about seeking restoration, it is better. I can't remember the passage. Can't remember what the passage is. But it is better to, if one forgives, their response is due from Allah. Is that idea not also in the Quran as well?
Right. No, neither. So let's be clear. To the first point, right? And unfortunately, there is a lot of lazy religious dialogue in this country. I am telling you, as a religious student who specialized in Islam and specialized in Christianity, you could not be more wrong.
That's why I've asked you.
And let me give you an example. So in Islam, under fiqh, there is a concept of blood money, right? So if say you were a Muslim and I'm a Christian, and we're both killed by a Muslim, right? Under Islamic law, you and your family would be entitled to double the amount of blood money that I could receive. Your family could seek the life of the perpetrator for taking your life as a Muslim, but my family could not seek their life. So there's no life for life equivalent. So that whole point, completely busted,
So if one person
totally wrong.
is murdered, one family over there kills your brother.
If a Muslim, right, I'll spell it out for you. If a Muslim, under Islamic law, if a Muslim kills a Muslim, the Muslim family can pursue the life of the perpetrator and have their life taken, or they can have blood money. If a Muslim kills a Christian under Islamic law, the Christian family can in no way seek the life of the Muslim perpetrator. They can only ask for blood money, and the blood money that they receive will be half that of a Muslim man, if it's a man, and half that of a Muslim woman, if it's a Muslim woman. Incidentally, a Muslim woman is only half that of a Muslim man. So there is no equality of justice in Islamic law. This is something that you should oppose if you have a conscience. Right, so you're with me on standing against Sharia law. Brilliant. Now, what was your second point? Because I'm sorry, I forgot it. Your second point about
was that forgiveness is a higher value
The what,
than
sorry?
retribution. That forgiveness is a higher value than retribution in the Quran.
right. So is forgiveness a higher value than retribution in Islam? Yes, if it's practiced amongst Muslims. No, if it's practiced to non-Muslims, unless those Muslims are going to convert to Islam by it. In Islam, amongst Muslims, yes, being charitable, forgiving is very highly esteemed. But because I am a kuffar and considered an enemy of Islam, only Islam over my head, only punishment is valued highly. But as Christians, I'll get out the books and we can talk about it. When Christians were bombed in Iraq, and the main cathedral of Iraq in Baghdad was bombed by Islamists. Do you know what the Christians of Iraq did? They pulled together and they funded the building of a hospital. In Islam, if you bomb a mosque, the Islamic thing to do is to bomb the mosque over the others, or to bomb the church over the others. It's called like for like punishment. So that's the difference. Now you tell me which one's going to make the world a better place.
I agree, but I absolutely agree that the getting out of the escalation of violence is what we want. But then, is there a tension with what you said earlier with your interpretation of Jesus?
As non-pacifist.
Yeah.
Right, so let me put that into my example. So if it had been in the ability of the Christians to kill the bomber before he bombed the cathedral, and that was the only way that they could have stopped him from bombing the cathedral, then they would have been justified in doing so.
Just war theory.
Right, exactly, something that you said you disagreed with. But I don't believe that the appropriate response to the bombing of a cathedral is you go and bomb a mosque. What I do believe is that we should wage war against Islamist networks, and we should do that mercilessly, because by doing that we defend everybody. It was really lovely. I know we started off rough, but I think we ended in a good place.
Really good education.
To show there's no hard feelings, I'd like to give you a gift.
A what, sorry?
A gift, just to show there's no hard feelings. Have you got a Bible at home?
I haven't, no.
Right. Here you go. Here, sorry, bear with us. Here's a gospel for you. Have a read of that. No hard feelings. It was really lovely talking to you. Let me give you a gift, show you there's no hard feelings. Have you got a Bible at home?
I have, I'm all right.
You've got a Bible. Let me give you something else then. Something else.
I've also got my copy of the Quran as well.
Brilliant. Well, you've got your Bible at home. Here's a gift for you. Again, no hard feelings. It's really lovely talking to you. Let me give you a gift. Have you got a Bible at home?
I do.
You do. Brilliant. Let me give you something else then.
Thank you.
Doob doo doob. Got a Bible, sorry. Let me find something.
Don't worry, don't
No. I'm not worried. Right, I just want to find... There we go. That's for you.
Oh yeah, that's the one I wanted. I was too shy to ask.
All right, God bless. Take care.
Bob, you're always giving people stuff. Please take this and have it.
Is it
It's
drink?
slightly alcoholic, but not very alcoholic.
Brew dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll drink that after Lent. So yeah,
Up in there, Bob.
as you've seen
Yeah.
from this conversation,
Okay.
as you've seen from this conversation, guys, the liberals and the ones raised by this liberal secular state are telling you that unless you make the persecuted church an inconvenience to their lives, they're not going to care. So you need to start making the persecuted church an inconvenience to the liberal establishment and to the liberal culture and to the liberal way of life. And you do that chiefly through creative protests, ladies and gentlemen. Now, furthermore, what we saw, and I don't retract my statement, is that our society is raising men with an "I'm all right, Jack" attitude. That "all right, man, Jack" attitude is precisely the attitude that is killing the West. As Christians, we got to be bigger than that. We got to be more noble than that. And we've got to strive towards having a culture and a society that is bigger than that raises men with the nobility to care about people, whether it inconveniences them or not, and to actually inconvenience themselves for the betterment of mankind. That's the difference between the Christian man and the secular Tommy. And I don't mean Tommy Robinson, but I'm talking about the secular English Tommy that has the attitude of "I'm all right, Jack, it's not my problem."